something that people glamorize that's actually just extremely toxic?
Office culture. Office life. Ugh. Don't know why we keep telling generation after generation that the ideal lifestyle is a white collar job where you work Monday through Friday in a suit and tie and it's just 9 to 5. It's 8 to 5 now. They've stolen 5 extra hours of our week. And when you ask anybody in an office, the vast majority is like, yeah, I'd rather not be here, dude. It is the most depressing place with its fucking cubicles and fluorescent lighting and like these frumpy office clothes that you have to wear and makeup and a daily commute. Constant back pain from sitting in a chair all day. The worst part, hands down, though, is the concept of professionalism where like you can't be too yourself because getting too personal is unprofessional, and yet the only way to establish meaningful connection with another human being is to get personal. So you just spend your life in the perpetual state of small talk like, oh yeah, the Mondays, huh? Can't believe this weather. It's just not good for you. Let's rethink this shit.
What's something that people glamorize that's actually just extremely toxic?
Literally the whole self-love, self-help, self-growth, just like working on you. But like, hear me out. Like, all those things are good. I'm not saying they're bad. Keep doing you, like keep working. We're thriving here in 2021. But a lot of people like to focus on like all the good aspect of like self-help, self-growth, self-love, all that. Like fitness, nutrition, reading more books, meditating. Amazing. They're all great. But like, what triggers you? What makes you angry? Why are you insecure? Why? Ugh. Naturally, we want to see ourselves as like perfect. And even if we don't see ourselves as perfect, we don't want to see ourselves as flawed. But like, what's the point of doing all this like self-development if you're gonna fall into the same cycle the next time you, I don't know, go into a relationship or like whatever? Super cliche, but accept yourself, flaws and all.
What's something that people glamorize that's actually just extremely toxic?
Immigrant parents slapping and verbally manipulating their own fucking children. Like seriously, South Asians watching this, yeah? How much longer are we gonna keep romanticizing our parents hitting us and verbally manipulating us when we're fucking kids and claiming that it's just part of the culture? It's not culture, it's abuse. And don't even get me fucking started on how hypocritical it is that 1 minute they're like, oh, you gotta show respect to your elders, but in the next breath, I swear, the next breath, they're like, what the fuck are you doing, you useless moron? Do something useful with your life. Be successful. The definition of which, might I add, is by their own Eurocentric capitalistic standard. Like fucking hell, man, we always say mental health's not taken seriously enough, but maybe if we stop romanticizing literal abuse, we might make just a little bit of progress.
What's something that people glamorize that's actually just extremely toxic?
Oh God, please do not stone me for this. Having kids. Now wait, it's not toxic in its entirety. Having children, of course, is not toxic in its entirety. There are aspects of it that are very toxic. Hear me out. Having children is glamorized and prioritized over very necessary pieces of actually raising children. People are not addressing past traumas. They're not addressing their stability, mentally, physically, financially. They're not in honest, quality, functional relationships. But all of these things are taking a back seat to the idea of bringing children into the world and having a baby shower and having a gender reveal and having a sip and see. Both the parents and the children are forced into this reality that they can't recreate their favorite TV family, that life is very real, but having children is glamorized. So the kids are just going to grow up, not address their traumas, and just have their own kids and repeat the cycles.
That's actually just extremely toxic.
Monogamy. Stick with me. I know this sounds a little out of pocket. However, I feel like the normalized standard of monogamous relationships is rooted in toxicity. I feel like a lot of modern day monogamous relationships are rooted in possession, aggression, and this idea of unconditional love and finding your other half, which is just not healthy. We are whole individuals. We are sexual, romantic beings. There are so many different types of soul ties, soul mates, relationships that you could make with other individuals. And honestly, I think we're the only animal species to be monogamous and to have a heteronormative agenda. However, that's a whole separate issue. So yeah, monogamy.
What's something that people glamorize that's actually just extremely toxic?
I've been waiting for this one. People in the arts who put their job before everything else in their life.
I'll give you an example. So I was a sound designer in college, one of the only ones, and my sound professor asked me to volunteer for a show that I hadn't volunteered for, and I let him know I would do it, but my sister's due date was during the run of the show, and I really didn't want to miss it. She's my only sibling, it was her first kid. He tells me it's fine. Fast forward, and she literally has her kid during a show one night, so I missed that show, as I warned him about. I was literally still in the hospital, and I received an email from my sound professor letting me know that I have to send a formal apology to the entire theater department for letting everyone down. I was doing this for free, mind you. Next day, the stage manager pulls me aside and tells me I have to make sacrifices like big family events if I ever want to go anywhere in this field because that's what it takes. Excuse me, I'm a college student not getting paid a cent. Long story short, I do have a career in the arts and I have fine work-life balance because my job isn't my entire existence.
What's something that people glamorize that's actually just extremely toxic?
The idea that you guys need to be obsessed with each other when you're in a relationship. Couple examples is that apparently we have to text each other every day, all day long, and if we don't text back within a reasonable amount of time or we don't explain why we didn't text back, then all of a sudden that means we're not into you anymore. If you're not texting each other, then you're probably on FaceTime till your phone dies, or you're on FaceTime till you fall asleep, and some people like to be on FaceTime while they're asleep, which is kind of weird, but okay. Basically, dedicating all your time to your significant other, that's kind of unhealthy. Because imagine you dedicated so much time and energy to a relationship that you had nothing else going on in your life. You're gonna feel so broken if that relationship fails because you got way too attached.
What's something that people glamorize that's actually just extremely toxic?
Having relationships in middle school and high school. I was listening to this podcast once on NPR Life Kit, and they were talking about how a lot of relationships in high school and middle school are abusive. Because A, you don't know how to love yourself. It's like peak time of insecurity. And B, because they don't see a lot of love at home, so they don't know how to love others. And films and TV and books, they glamorize these relationships. But the truth is that a lot of those relationships scar you for life. And they put you on a path of like more toxic relationships until you realize that, damn, that relationship I had at 12 was not healthy. When I look back at the relationships I saw at the time, they were not okay. Like arguing at 8 o'clock in the morning, putting your partner in a corner and like talking mean to them. It was not it.
What's something that people glamorize that's actually just extremely toxic?
I'm gonna just go ahead and say it. Relationships. And let me explain why. By no means am I saying that relationships are toxic. But what I am saying is that society and social media's obsession with relationships, yeah, that's not healthy at all. It's as though everyone is more focused on the cute pictures and the matching outfits and being able to say you have someone than actually assessing and considering who you have. Daniel Sloss said it best. If you haven't seen his Jigsaw stand-up on Netflix, look it up now. It's people out here trying to force things that should not be forced with one another because they would much rather have somebody than nothing at all. I don't think y'all understand. There are really couples out here who don't need to be together, should not be together, but they stay together because their cute couple pics go viral. And the obsession promotes the idea of being single being a flaw. It's getting weird.
Whoa.